a bit for the seeding for brackets, as your best time during the group stage will be used for that seeding for the bracket stage. So definitely not just a throwaway race or anything here, which is getting started right now. Firing it up. And we're in escape and doing nothing.
Well, we should note right off the bat that darkminddemon probably has one of the best escapes in the game.
Really one of the best light worlds, period, I think, in the game.
He's incredible at this segment. I've seen him get a number of 548s and 549s, which are rare. Like, even for Zelda and WQ, I would say they don't regularly get sub 550.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that even at a very high level of this game, the top runners still have very subtle differences between them. So, but yeah, as you mentioned, Eddie is definitely one of the best runners when it comes to just overall general movement. You know, everything you see from him is typically very clean and precise, and he does everything as optimally as he can. He's been running for quite a while now. He saw Jaden's NMG run, I think, at SGDQ 2013. It was the first speed run he ever saw, actually, and he enjoyed that run so much, as anyone would who has seen Jaden play this game ever. But he liked it so much that he started speedrunning himself. So definitely awesome to see him playing this game, and he's got a really amazing time with that low 124.
Unfortunately, he got bad RNG in that guard hallway there. If the sword guard's ever moving to the right, it's rarely a fun time to deal with.
Yeah, both doing the left-facing slash there. I don't think that's, you know, as you mentioned, we're going to see, you know, typically we see a wide variety of strats used, but we'll definitely still see that in this run. But generally through escape, you see, you know, different strats coming out from runners here and there. But both these runners you probably see doing mostly similar strats throughout these runs here in the first part of the game.
They'll be making their way to ball and chain here. The most important room in the first 10 minutes of the game or so. Hopefully it goes well. I'm pretty sure they'll both be doing 8 slash. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yep, that's what I would expect. One parry on Eddie's side there, so that made all the difference there, was just that one parry that he got. It's still hitting the chest at about the same time, so very close here still.
Eddie does have only a heart and a half here. Health management is very important in this first part of the game, especially for a top runner like Eddie, who might be leaning towards skipping Sanctuary Heart. It's, you know, super important to manage your health well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen him skip it in his previous 2 races, so I wouldn't expect anything to change here. But yeah, we'll see if he opts to pick up a heart pot a little bit later on to make sure he's a little bit safer and can skip that Sank Heart without worrying about his trip through the overworld on the way to Eastern.
Yeah, there's a pretty quick pot in the first room of the sewer section. He might get that. Oh, especially now, taking that damage there.
For sure, I think he will now. Nice. Both of them hitting the throne room at right around the 420-minute mark.
Yeah, we're very synced here. Holy heck.
This is nice, but yeah, Eddie might grab this spot here, but I don't think he'll lose. Okay, well, taking a little bit of a hit from a rat there. That'll slow him down just a little bit.
Yeah, he went for the boomerang, which is harder to do, in my opinion, especially while pumping.
Getting some bad RNG with that rope over there next to the chest. Had to slash him out of the way. So it's just going to put him just a few more frames behind him. You can see that there's just these small little things in Escape, like just small differences in RNG. And it doesn't make like a major difference in terms of time, but the small stuff can add up over multiple rooms.
Wow, Eddie down to a heart and a half. It's can be pretty nerve-wracking to do this overworld this low on hearts.
Alright, pretty solid escape time coming out of both these guys here. Look like a 53 and a 55, so about 2 seconds separating these guys right now. As we've discussed, we're pretty sure that that Eddie is going to skip the sand cart, as he's done in all of his races thus far, even considering his low amount of health. I would expect David to pick it up, though. I think I've seen him pick it up in all of his races so far. Definitely a very good safety to have, and something you don't normally see dropped until about the 124 level. And looks like Eddie is going to pick it up. I was a little worried about his health situation, but gets the chest turn, so...
Yeah. Yeah, a heart and a half is scary on this.
Yeah, for sure. I don't blame him for grabbing it at all.
Yeah. I think he probably would have skipped it with anything more than a heart and a half. But man, heart and a half. Especially on this Octorok screen coming up.
Yeah, you can get comboed pretty easily, I guess. You could get sniped by a rock and then just hit... actually run into the body of one and just be dead in the overworld. So time loss he is not willing to risk at this point. Ooh, we got the red rupee drop already from that prize pack there, so not going to be seeing that one in Eastern, but does have 6 rupees already, and we'll be getting a bunch of blues in a row here as the next drops in the prize pack. So it's kind of nice to get that red rupee early on and just really not worry about rupees for the rest of Eastern. But unfortunately, that would have taken a long time to actually nab. So understand why he skipped over it.
Yeah. I believe both runners are going to be doing tree rupees, and with the tree rupee route, ideally you want 14 rupees before or after Hera, I guess. So getting the 20 is really convenient, because then you just get to go through the rest of the light world not having a worry.
Ooh, David skipping the safety arrows. Eddie going to be doing the same here. So both of them are going to be hoping to get some good RNG at the end here of Eastern, and hopefully get some arrow drops from some Igors later on, as they need at least 18 arrows to get the quick kill on the boss of this dungeon.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 8 chance for that little gamble to fail. So it's not too often that it does fail, but when it does, you lose a couple seconds having to recover it.
Let's see how the big key grab goes for these guys. Looks like David had to boost off of the anti-fairies instead of the Popo, so ended up taking an extra heart of damage, and as a result, opted to grab the heart underneath the pot there to make sure he was healthy for the rest of the dungeon here. So we got a little bit of a lead change here, but still very tight through here.
That's an example of something he probably wouldn't have done if this wasn't a race. But it is. So you really don't want to die in this back half of Eastern.
We're going to see Okay, both these runners here are going for a strat known as Gifted with Greenies. Oh no!
Oh no!
Looks like Eddie got it actually. Even did the damage boost, I think I saw, on both sides there. So shoutouts to Jakey Numbers in the chat, who is a big fan of that strat. These guys had a gentleman's agreement to go for this strat, no matter what happened, and fortunately Eddie got it. David had a little bit of a struggle there. You can see just how risky that strat can be, since it is somewhat RNG dependent, but still can be very, very fast and just looks really, really cool as well.
Gifted with greenies.
Eddie cleaning up the Armos fight here. Looks like he had a nice quick kill using the standard top right strat there. See what strat David opts for. Also going to be going for top right. Hopefully he will nail this quick kill as well. See, he puts 2 arrows preemptively into this very last Armos here so that he can just finish it off with the last one and not worry about the Armos turning red and regaining all of its health.
So, DMD talking to Sastrala, where do you stand on the side of the shoes versus boots debate, Greenhand?
You know, I've never really put a lot of thought into it, but my natural instinct is, just given how far up your leg it looks like those would come, I'm going to call that a boot.
Okay.
Just looking at the item, like, icon itself, you know, like when you hold it above your head, just look how much of that's going to, like, come up your ankle, you know. That's got to be a boot. That can't be... Those aren't shoes, man. It almost looks like a Christmas stocking, you know?
Are you saying that Link is Santa? Or that Sastrala is Santa?
Yeah, maybe he is, you know?
Yeah,
this is where the lore comes from.
DMD going to be doing a risky spin speed here, which we should probably explain what spin speed is in the first place. If you charge up a spin attack and press A on the very first frame of the spin attack while you have the boots, you get put in this odd glitch state where you can't swing your sword, and if you touch stairs, you get to run around super fast. Both of these runners are showing it off here.
Yeah, both had really clean movement on the library spin speed as well. As you mentioned, it's kind of risky, mostly because, not necessarily because you're going to fail the trick, although that can sometimes happen, but the movement afterwards, especially on that screen, is very precise, and it can be very difficult to move in such a way that you're not actually losing time as a result of going for that strat. But it can save around half a second, a little more in some cases, so both of them went for it, and it looks like they saved a decent amount of time with it.
Yeah, it's crazy to me, you know, spin speed is a frame perfect trick. I mean, you have to press A on specific frame. It's got to be the first frame of the spin attack animation. And players go for ones that save barely any time. So.
Yeah. It's always one of the interesting things that I like to look at with these sorts of races is the strat choices that they do make and the differences in between them. You know, what spin speeds they go for, what you know, which ones they don't. You know, whether or not they go for an optimal strat here or a more consistent one there. Makes these races very interesting to watch. You would think that, you know, both these guys having really good PBs as they do, that the strats would just look similar, you know, very similar in every single room. But while we will see a lot of similarities, you know, there's still very tiny differences that you'll see between the runners, and usually that's a very personal decision just based on what they feel their skill level is. So it's really important as a runner that you make those decisions for yourself and don't necessarily just blindly copy what you see everyone else doing.
DMD got good cannonball RNG. But David gets that RNG where he gets blocked. Speaking of risky spin speeds, DMD's definitely going to be going for one here. Outside back on the overworld. It's really easy to accidentally jump the ledge here, because if you touch it at all in spin speed, Link hops instantly. Normally if you walk against the ledge, there's like a little bit of a buffer before Link jumps, but the game considers you as dashing, so touch it at all and you instantly jump.
Yep. Definitely a very risky spin speed, but using that pause buffer to the lamp as he did makes it a little bit safer so that you can just hold upright out. It looks like David's going to be going for the same thing. Misses the spin speed, unfortunately. Can be kind of tricky coming off those stairs because you have to kind of hesitate a little bit, right, before you come off them. Otherwise, you won't actually get the state.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's like the very bottom of the stairs don't count as stairs. So you have to get it quite high to be able to come off with super speed. Yeah, Jake pointing out that their rupee counts are very similar here. Both of them having at least 30 rupees and a count of 24 arrows. DMD didn't opt to pick up the extra arrows before this fight, which is very RNG heavy and can be very difficult to handle, but you can see that Eddie has put a ton of time and practice in this fight, and he really knows how to handle these patterns as trolly as they can be sometimes, especially with short hops. But it looked like, I want to say, a 4 or 5 cycle? Yeah, I think it was a 4.
But we see David, sorry, we did see that David did opt for the additional arrows before this fight. Doesn't get as clean of a start on his first cycle. Ooh, but puts 3 into that arrow, or that landmo there on that second cycle and kills him off. This is pretty good cleanup so far. If you can get this last one down now, I think that's also... Ooh, got a bad pattern there. Unfortunately, didn't stay up in the air long enough, but finishes it off pretty nicely. Early kill there on that cycle. Won't be too far behind DMD coming out of desert.
Yeah, it was really nice. 3 arrows on that one worm. One of the things I look for in newer players with landmo is how aggressive they are, and it definitely helps to stay aggressive in that fight, in my opinion.
All right, so you saw DMD there execute one of our first glitches, minor glitches in this game that we used to save about 6 seconds over just, going around the west side of Hyrule Castle to get into this cave. And you're going to see David doing the same trick here in a little while. What he's going to do, he's going to get to the very edge of the screen and jump into the water such that he gets 1 frame of movement, and he's going to use that 1 frame of movement to transition the screen. And once he gets to this screen, the game doesn't actually run a check to see if he has flippers or not, so he can actually continue swimming here without actually needing the flippers. So, can be kind of risky because if you do get hit in that state, you will end up soft locking, which you can save and quit out of for the purposes of this tournament, but normally wouldn't be allowed for a leaderboard approved speed run. So just one of those tourney rules that we threw in so that people don't have to entirely restart their runs, but luckily neither one of our runners have to deal with that. And we're on to Hera.
This is a really important spin speed, mostly because of how just trolly and awful the mountain can be.
Yeah, being able to move at 4 pixels per frame and actually being able to change directions is super important for giving yourself a better chance, at least, to dodge some of the horrible RNG that is just raining down upon you.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Good hesitation there by David. It's really hard to read and react, especially when you're moving at those speeds, so You can tell that he's put a decent amount of time into practicing this screen, which does take a good amount of practice to actually handle all of those RNGs well. Let's see if DMD gets the boom dash here. Oh, lands on the other side of the pegs, unfortunately. He's going to try it again. Really just wants that coffee break. Yeah, he's fine now.
Yeah, and that item dashing is also another Japanese 1.0 exclusive glitch, along with fake flippers and spin speed. You just hit Y and A at exactly the same time. Which is a little tougher than you might think. This game runs at 60 frames per second, so to have Y and A come out on the exact same frame, it's not easy to do every single time.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks that can just mysteriously become inconsistent all of a sudden, you know. For a while, you'll have a really good feeling for it, and then all of a sudden you won't. And it can be kind of the same thing with spin dashing as well. Nice boom dash there by David, not having to retry it, landing in a good spot. Now into the beetle room for DMD, which would be a pretty tough room given the subtle RNG that can be in there, but he handled it pretty well. One of the toughest parts about that room, though, and something we'll probably get a chance to see when David goes through it, is actually walking in between that crystal switch in the pots. It's surprisingly difficult to actually get in between there without just rubbing up against the crystal. It's a bomb jump here for DMD. We'll be getting the Moon Pearl a little bit earlier than the game wants you to.
I was half expecting him to go for the early jump, which is a strategy he does sometimes. I think Jake pointed out something in chat where since DMD's going up against a sub 130 runner, he might be playing a little bit conservative. We saw that with Sanctuary Heart, and now with early bomb jump here as well.
Oh man, Moldomer's just playing the gatekeeper here, not letting DMD into the pit. He knows what he's going to try to do to him. Oh. Right, he's got one more hit here. One hearts. Don't get hits. Oh, that was so close. Moldorm could have quick turn. When he gets on the edge like that, his movement can become quite unpredictable. When he's in the middle of the arena, he is a little bit easier to handle because his movement is somewhat predictable. But yeah, that fight can be extremely scary, especially when you're dashing through him and you get bounced off in completely random directions. It'd be very scary, but Eddie making it out of there just fine.
David coming up on Moldorm. Hopefully he has a good fight.
Yeah, so you'll tend to see some slightly different approaches here from runners from time to time. It looks like both these guys are kind of going with the hold your sword out, chase him around, dash through when you can, release spins when he's in a really bad spot sort of strategy, which can definitely be a good one because if he hits you up against the edge, you want to be pressing the direction opposite and away from the pit so that he doesn't knock you off, and that's just a nice feature of having your sword out. So nice fight from David. Didn't fall off, didn't die. And out of Hera, going to be descending Death Mountain now. Right behind DMD, who's making his way through Lost Woods right now, going to be picking up the Master Sword and then finishing off his rupee route. You know, nice Master Sword pull spot from DMD there.
Yeah, you don't have to get anywhere near the Master Sword to be able to pull it from the pedestal.
There is just that much power within Link.
Yeah, he's telepathic. Or telekinetic, rather.
And telepathic. That's how I can hear Saha, right? Alright, so David has 60 rupees now. If he gets 4 more rupees, he can actually skip 2 of the red rupees that you're going to see DMD pulling out of a tree here. Ooh, dodging the bush bomb underneath there. But the way these tree rupees work is, you saw originally they pulled a tree right outside, right after they got off the mountain. And what that did, it reset a counter that the game uses to track certain things. And if you kill 4 enemies without taking damage after you pull one of those trees, when you pull the next tree, you're going to get red rupees out of it. And you'll get different color rupees depending on what happens in between your tree pulls. So if you take damage at all during that, you'll end up getting blue rupees out of it instead. So very undesirable, as we want to have at least 110 going into the Dark World here to pay off Kiki.
DMD entering Aghanim's Tower. This is actually a pretty technical dungeon. It's got a lot of hard rooms, including this first one. And also the second one as well. He intentionally kills those 2 guards with a dash, because anytime you dash kill an enemy, they will never drop an item. And he actually doesn't want them to drop an item, because he wants their prize pack to be advanced later in the run, when it would be more beneficial to have. And we'll talk about that when we get to Turtle Rock, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, as you said, Aga Tower is actually a really complex series of rooms, and a lot of these can be tough because they are dark, and you can't really tell what's going on sometimes. But if you've practiced the rooms enough time, you know what the various RNGs can throw at you. So, okay, I'm really excited to see what DMD does here in this particular room. He is going for the most optimal strat here. Oh my gosh, that just looks so cool. And it is very fast.
It's also, like, pretty hard to do. Harder than it looks, certainly.
David also properly maintaining his prize pack drops in that room.
One thing to note with Eddie is that with that red spears, he did drop down with 0 arrows, and he got 5 back in Circle of Pots. But that's actually still not enough to consistently do the next dungeon. He might need to waste a little bit of time getting it back up.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he grabs arrows and mimics, or if he tries to grab... There are some pots after you bomb the floor open in pod at the bottom of that room there that you can grab for some additional arrows if he wants, but David had a healthy 9 arrows, so he won't be too worried rolling into pod. But let the RNG fest commence.
Get your guesses in for the blue balls here, if you wish. That's 1. The only special tech in this fight is they want to try to hit him towards the center of the room whenever possible, just to statistically lower his warp distances. If he's on the left side of the room, it has to warp to the far right. That's actually a good bit of time compared to if he's in the middle of the room.
Yeah, he got a good warp there, as you saw. Like, he was on the far left of the room, but he just barely moved up. But if he had gone to, like, the far right side of the room, you're losing a little bit of time from that. I think that's 3 so far?
Yeah, I believe so.
Alright, so it looks like it's going to be 3. So he should kill him on the first hit after this lightning attack right here. So getting the average, most common amount.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the most common amount loses 24 seconds, approximately, to 0, which is the best.
Yeah, and if you get just 1 less blue ball than that, if you get 2, you're going to save one of his lightning attacks, which is another 6 seconds or so. So very undesirable to get that 3rd one. So let's hope that David, gets similar RNG or even better to maybe tighten this race up just a little bit, even though it is still very, very close heading into the Dark World here.
Gets 1 in the first cycle, not bad.
2943 Light World Sword Up for DMD. looking pretty good so far for David.
I think it only needs one more hit. Yeah,
there it is.
You got one.
One blue ball. So yeah, he's going to save about 18 seconds or so on Eddie with that.
Yep. That'll tighten this race up a bit. You got Eddie going for, or grabbing his greedy monkey here. There are a couple important things while carrying Kiki. You don't want to get hit. Kiki will leave you and you'll have to repay him 10 rupees. And also, you'll see the way he like canceled his dash there in an odd way. And that's to pull Kiki closer to you. During the cutscene where Kiki hops on your back, he actually moves very slow, so you want him to get as close as possible to you before you trigger the cutscene.
Yep, and I want to mention also a third very important thing about while you're in that Kiki cutscene. While you're mashing the text, please do not press Y. Do not press X. But most importantly, do not press Y, because there is a frame during that conversation where you can actually hit the Y button and mirror back to the light world. And once you get back to the dark world, you're going to be very sad to see that Monkey is no longer there and you need to pay him all over again.
Yeah, Kiki jumps on your back and then jumps up to the building.
So Eddie did not grab those arrows at the bottom there, so I imagine he'll be just grabbing whatever falls out of mimics, but he's going to use one of his arrows on a crystal switch, and then he's going to need 4 more of those arrows to finish off the mimics, so he's going to have a total of 0 after that mimics room, and he needs at least 1 to hit a statue after that. So I'm going to need to get some friendly drops from the mimics or just pick up a pot in there. But Eddie going to be approaching the hammer yump. One of the most difficult tricks in this game. Requires 2 perfect Y coordinate positions here. Using pause buffers to... Ooh, he went for some sword buffers there. Didn't want to actually bring up the pause menu again because that does cost you a little bit of time, but can be very useful in actually checking your position to make sure you have it exactly right. Yeah, he's pretty confident in his cues, it looks like, but he just... the sword buffer there, I think, was just a frame too many, so he ended up moving a little farther than he meant to, but gets it nicely the second time, and... going to be moving on to the end of the dungeon here.
Eddie coming up on some tough rooms here. This statue room is pretty tough to do well. We'll see if he gets the smooth statue push. Oh, almost. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Better than most of mine look, that's for sure. David's on his bomb jump now. Oh, nice. Eddie gets the 5 arrow drop there right in the window. That's nice to see. David, nice bomb jump. Only a few extra buffers there. Pretty good bod so far for both these guys.
Eddie coming into the turtle room, which is a nightmare room for all beginners of the game.
Gets the bad RNG too, where one of those turtles walks down to the bottom of the wall. You hate to see that.
Yeah, certainly do.
Oh, nice mimics from David. slight variation on the strat. That's one of the cool things about Mimic's Room is that they do have a lot of various strats that work well. So DMD's Helmet Fight here, though, not using the sword out, which can provide a little bit of safety and a slightly bigger hitbox, but this is the version of the fight that he prefers. We'll be going for these very precise hammer hits on the second phase here, while dodging the tail and all of these fireballs. Needs another spin to finish it off. Nice Helmet Fight by DMD.
Yeah, Helmet Sword's a scary fight. Every one of his attacks does 2 hearts of damage, so...
David got bad RNG in turtles as well. The other turtle went down to the bottom of the wall.
Yeah.
That Tortuga wanted to go take a siesta. Oh, that key dash, though, from David. Without the lineup. Not using an object in the room. Right, also not using his sword. Yeah, not holding your sword out is something you definitely tend to see from top level runners. Oh man, he didn't quite wait long enough. He was trying to wait to get that 17th hit on Helmasaur's mask there to actually despawn that fireball, but just hit him a tad too early. Nice, 1 slash to finish it off. Nice Helmet Fight. Taking a little bit of damage, but still getting out of there alive.
Yep, and that's all that matters ultimately.
For sure.
Especially in a tourney race setting like this. Oh no, Eddie getting lotteried, as we call it. Sometimes those... Oh no, getting hit twice. Sometimes these ropers can just randomly hit you on the server world. And it's pretty frustrating. I did a run last night that I got hit twice as well.
Yeah, it's very painful because there's really nothing you can do to fix it. I mean, you're basically doing the same movement every time, and just sometimes randomly, out of nowhere, you'll get hit by those guys. So they each do 2 hearts of damage, as you saw. Luckily, he didn't take any damage from that Dacto, the bird, or the pink bird outside of Pod, because that guy does 3 hearts, as does the Snapdragon. So Eddie down 4 hearts here. There's a tree on the way to Thieves Town that he can bonk optionally to get some apples and restore some of his HP. We'll see if he opts to do that, and we'll also count his digs here. 1. Nicely done. Yeah, given what we've seen out of Eddie this race so far, he's definitely been playing this race a little bit safer than his other one so far, because his opponent is a sub 130 runner, and anything can happen in these races for sure. 1 death can to a boss can easily tie this race up. So I think he is probably going to play it just a little bit safer here and probably end up grabbing those apples. But running past Usain Bolt there, the fastest guard in Hyrule, not taking any additional damage, which is good. If that guy gets on you, it is very difficult to get away from him.
Looks like Eddie is gearing up for the smallest time-saving spin dash here. This only saves like 10 frames.
Yeah, and as we all know, every single fence dash saves 10 minutes. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what he does about these apples here. Also, first try dig for David. Nice. Skipping past the apples. He is confident. It is Thieves Town. He's not too worried.
This is still pretty scary here. We could see something happen.
I mean, there are horse heads everywhere in Thieves Town here, and those guys do 2 hearts of damage each if you run into them. I think their beams that the red ones shoot at you do the same amount, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 shots from those guys and he's dead. There are definitely hearts along the way that he can grab, but none of them are really right on his way. Maybe he'll opt to grab the one that's right outside Blind's room when he gets there, but there are also some down in the prison once he gets down there to rescue the maiden. So David not opting for that spin dash that you saw Eddie go for. He'll probably just be doing the flute dash here. Maybe not. It looks like he didn't. But if you do unlock that bird by using a flute dash, which is just another item dash, hitting A and Y at the same time, you'll actually maintain the fact that you're starting a dash throughout that cutscene. And as long as you're holding A when that cutscene finishes, you'll start your dash immediately from there. So if you're not going for that spin speed, definitely do that.
Eddie's going to be moving through some RNG heavy rooms. First, this room with the Patrick Stars.
Nice, solid hesitation there.
And then into Hellway.
Oh,
he
nice.
gets it good, yeah. He actually didn't hit there's a single horizontal coordinate you can be on to actually dash up through the room between all the spikes and stuff. He actually didn't get it on his initial dash, but adjusted to it. That was really nice.
Yeah, that's a lot more difficult than it looks, because usually what you're trying to do in that room is, as long as you don't move out of the doorway and you just start a dash, you're going to be moving at 4 pixels per frame, and that gives you 1 frame to stop on where you'll be perfectly aligned with that God pixel that Josh was explaining. Oh, shoutouts to Blunt Bunny here from David. Manages to dodge all of the potential damage in that room, though, which can be pretty scary. But as long as you don't move out of that room going into the Hellway, you do have that 1 frame to stop on where you'll be perfectly aligned. So if you don't do that, though, if you stop early, you have to rely on your movement and your visual cue to just hit that pixel from there. So, oh no, runs directly into that horse head there. Going to be sitting at 1.5 hearts here, but will be rolling into the prison. As I said before, it does contain a few hearts underneath pots here. So we'll see if he opts to grab those. It can be a little dangerous to do so on the way up, since that red horse head there at the bottom can actually follow you on the way up. So looks like he's just going to go for it here. He's going to sit on 1.5 hearts and going to call it good to finish out the dungeon here.
He could grab the heart right before blind. Maybe he will.
Yeah, that'll give him... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, most top players are super confident in blind, so I also wouldn't be surprised to see him skip it.
Okay, David needs to be pretty careful here. These grasshoppers do 2 hearts of damage, and they can also kind of hit you as you're dashing out that door there, which can be pretty scary. Looks like Eddie did get a heart drop or something from Astolfo, so he didn't pick up that pot, but he did get another heart, so he'll actually be able to take at least 1 hit directly from ahead, but will not be able to get hit after that fact if he does. But this is a scripted fight, and as Josh mentioned, most top players are very confident in executing this script, and I don't expect Eddie to be any different. Almost a perfectly executed blind right there. Nice fight by Eddie. Way to have the confidence to get through that dungeon on low health. Oh my gosh, David, that hesitation scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Thought he's going to get trucked by that horse head there, but we'll see what he opts to do in the prison here. I'm going to be going for these dashes through, which can be a little bit safer to kill those blue Zazzix there. Does pick up 1 of the hearts, so he's still 1 shot to pretty much everything right here. Almost got sniped. All right, David, you got this from here on out. I believe in you, man.
Yeah, unless your name is Mudsky, you shouldn't lose too much health in the conveyor jellies room. I'm sad he's at work right now. I couldn't hear that dude.
I know. We'll have to be sure to link that to him later on, though. Alright, so David grabbed that extra heart there right outside the blind fight. We'll be executing, hopefully, the same script. You'll see a few variations, but really, as long as you have Link in the right spot and you're holding your sword out and you just kind of let blind run into you, you're going to be just fine. You can kind of do, whatever you want in between these rounds here, so long as it keeps you safe. But yeah, David having a very, very similar blind fight to Eddie there. Nicely executed.
So in this overworld, all they're going to be doing is tempering their sword, which involves rescuing the frog and paying a measly 10 rupees. to the dwarves to get them to give you a serious upgrade. This makes pretty much all the boss fights from here on out way faster than if you just had the Master Sword. They're also going to be collecting 600 rupees, so they can afford to buy the flippers in the next segment. Although you've seen them swim without the flippers are needed for Swamp Palace. There's no known way.
Sorry. Eddie went for the fence dash, but he had to bail out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Eddie just lost 45 minutes. He's actually going to have to reset.
Yeah, I can save you 10 minutes, but lose you 45.
No, but the fence dash is I guess sort of a meme at this point. It's a good strat to hit though. Saves something like a third of a second, half a second maybe.
Let's call it half a second. That sounds
yeah.
Ain't nobody going for a third of a second. We'll take that half though. Oh man, okay. This is my least favorite room in the game, as is not really a secret to anyone. Alright, that is a minimal amount of trolling, I suppose. Definitely not the worst thing that can happen in that room, but I hate everything about that room and its entire existence in the game. Gibdos are just a horrible enemy to deal with, I feel like, and that's, I think, one of the worst things about that room. Like when they just mysteriously don't take knockback from the sword at all, ever. Ooh, Eddie is going for early bomb jump with the spin tech there. That was cool. Oh no! Well, rip 45 minutes. But at least they'll, yeah, they both lost it, so.
Yeah. Oh no, David falling into the pit.
Oh no. Alright, well, I think he's gonna know what to do in this room though. Yeah, the first time you fall in here, and I guarantee you almost every single person who has ran this game on, you know, at least a few occasions, especially sub 130 runners, have fallen into that hole. But the first time you fall in there, you're like, what is even going on here? What? I have never seen this part of the dungeon before. How the heck do I get out of here? But David knows how to handle it, so gets out of there and will be on the correct path through the dungeon now. Meanwhile, BMD in the moth fight. Nice double hit, buffer to the mirror. 2 slashes now needed to finish it off, as long as those slashes don't hit Mothula in any spikes. And be getting out of the fight with 2 hearts. Yeah, not too bad at all there on the moth fight.
Yeah, that might actually be... I'm not sure if David runs Rando, but that's probably a nice advantage to playing it, is being familiar with odd rooms and dungeons. So that...
Oh, so David, he was going for that same early bomb jump that Eddie did. Failed it once, and then decided to just hover it instead. Pretty solid backup, IMO. Nicely done.
Wow, everyone can hover these days.
Yeah, except for some 124 runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a cool trick. Obviously, can save you a little bit of time here and there. Can be a nice backup, especially in Ice Palace if you run out of bombs or something. But certainly not a requirement to get a top time or anything. But always cool to see it when somebody busts it up. But yeah, it seems like just everyone can do it. And I feel like everyone is capable of doing it. You know, it's one of those things that you see it and it's just a mystery, and you're like, well, how do they even do it? And you hear the explanation for it, and you're like, well, that sounds even harder. That's certainly got to be impossible. But I think once you see someone actually do it, it becomes a little bit easier. If you put enough time and practice into it, I think anyone can do it.
Hopefully David has a good moth fight here. This boss is pretty tricky, but I believe a certain speedrunner has a tutorial on how to do it correctly.
That's how I learned it for sure. Nice, that was a pretty good fight. I don't think he got the double hit off of the dash there, but handled Moth really nicely and cleaned up the fight.
Meanwhile, Eddie picking up Quake, and he's gonna mirror and go right into getting the flippers. The screen, Zora's waterfall area is really difficult to do well. And you'll see top players making use of interesting optimizations. You saw he dashed higher than he needed to there just to get to land, because you dash so much faster on land rather than in the shallow water. And you also see him making use of certain places where the game will kind of let you dash in the dark blue, deeper water. You'll see a case of that here. Yeah, where he's dashing way into the deep water there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta be like the highest pixel you could be on there. That's ridiculous.
Oh, good job recognizing he could swim past the Zora there. That Zora can spawn in a number of areas, some of which can be really inconvenient. But D&D really showing off experience there, knowing that he could get by the Zora.
Ooh, okay.
Eddie's
nice ice too. That was close though.
Yeah. But Eddie has accidentally used 3 rod shots, so hopefully he remembers. It can actually be tough to remember that you've used 3, just because you get into muscle memory mode in your zone in the back end of the dungeon. But
yeah, for sure. He's going to be looking to get... Yep, there he goes.
There he goes, yeah.
Yeah, he did remember, and very heads-up play to recognize that he needed another small magic pot there. He is going to get 2 more at the very end of the dungeon, which will fill him up entirely, so that he'll be all set for the... Oh, no! Eddie needs to mirror out, I think, now? Because he ran out of bombs, and he was on the other side of the pegs, unfortunately, so
wow.
He's going to need some mortar magic now, actually. He can farm these Pengators coming down here if he wants to. I'm not sure if he'll opt to do that or just kind of hope for some drops along the way, but this first room here can be really nice to farm, pretty easy to farm if you need some magic, but he's just going to opt to hopefully get some drops out of the penguins later on in the dungeon. Oh, there's the full drop. Nice. Grabs it, gets out of there nicely. He's going to be set on magic. He does need to grab this bomb on the left side of the room here, though, but this is going to let David catch up just a little bit here. And Ice, I feel like, has been probably the scariest dungeon, and definitely the scariest boss of this tournament so far. We've seen it. We've seen Cold Stare, you know, kill a number of top runners and even up races in just the blink of an eye, so... we're definitely not rooting for that to happen. You know, we want to see some nice, clean fights here, but it's just something that we're pointing out as a potential thing that can happen. So,
yeah.
Yeah, nice Ice Palace bomb jump set up there from Eddie. Very fast plant and set up to get himself in that next position. This bomb jump is very important to get us through this dungeon. Allows us to skip a major portion of it and saves us from doing a lot of backtracking. So
yeah, we end up not even needing the big key, which is I think the only dungeon where that's the case. Let me think. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
right.
Yeah.
For anyone who is just joining us and is curious as to what happened to Eddie's timer, he's not using splits right now, he's just using a single timer to make the capture a little bit easier, and just accidentally, I think, split for one of his segments and ended up stopping his timer. So the streams are definitely still in sync, so you don't have to worry about that. And they should still be at the same points on their timers, in theory. Cold stare fight from Eddie now. Let's see what kind of setup he's going to use. Oh, going for the left side. Reverse. Double poke. Spin into the corner. That was nicely done. Nice fight from Eddie there with a little bit of swag by doing it on the opposite side that you normally see runners do it.
Yeah, I can't say I would ever go for that in tourney race.
It's interesting, like what he's going for and what he's not. You know, I think maybe maybe that issue with the bomb probably maybe made him less nervous a little bit, because he just wanted to get like that first major mistake out of the way. You know, sometimes oddly enough that can help you settle down in a race. Sometimes I know, you know, maybe that's just me personally, but I've kind of felt that at times. Once you get that first major mistake out of the way, you tend to calm down a little bit. But we'll see how David handles his cold stare fight here, falling in. See if he opts for the same fight as Eddie. I did see him practicing that strat earlier. Looks like he's going to do the same thing. One poke, two poke. Oh, he doesn't get the spin off. It's really easy to drop your sword while you're going through these pokers. He needs to be very careful. Nicely done there.
Okay.
If he got hugged by any of those puffs there, he was dead.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out, that he was so aggressive there but it worked out, so.
It's really cool to see these guys kind of going for the same strats. I know that they've been in each other's chats and cheering each other on and kind of copying each other's strats a little bit and talking about strats, and that's really cool to see out of our racers here. When people really embrace the social aspect of it and get into it just beyond the speed run itself. So kind of a cool extra element to see here. And even though these guys are, you know, opponents, that they're still supporting each other in that way.
Only items in this NMG run they're getting that they technically don't need are the boomerang, the sanctuary heart, and the tempered sword. And the items they don't get, there are a ton of items they don't get.
Yeah.
Bottles, net, powder, cape, the cane of Burna, etc., etc.
Yeah, those bombers outside of the swamp there can be a real pain sometimes. Interesting select buffer. I think maybe that was just a mispress there, misclick. Yeah, swamp is kind of a little bit of a respite from what we've been experiencing so far. Obviously, ice was very intense, and you know, you're kind of worried about maintaining your health and very worried about the boss fight. Swamp is kind of the opposite of that. It's not like you're 100% safe through here from ever taking damage, as Eddie is perfectly demonstrating there. But you're really never at a massive risk of just outright dying within the dungeon itself, so it can be kind of a nice little break, but it doesn't mean that you can necessarily ease up on the execution at all here.
Yeah, I don't think anything in this dungeon does more than 1 art of damage. It's intended to be the second dungeon you go through, so by the time we get here, you're just very overpowered.
Something very cool that I can pretty much guarantee that we will at least be seeing on Eddie's side, though, is the quick kill for the boss of this dungeon, which is, I would say, probably the hardest boss quick kill in this game to actually execute consistently. It can save a pretty healthy amount of time, something like 6 or 7 seconds if you get it properly, to where Argus will not actually rotate out his puffs for any cycles, and so that's why we call it the 0 cycle. Very cool strat to watch, so definitely pay attention for that when Eddie gets there.
See, Eddie just used a rail clip strat with the shot there that I've been seeing lately. I don't know what's up with that.
I don't know where it originated either. The first time I saw it was when John Carlos did it, actually in the tourney race not too long ago.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, you should do that. Do little frame sights.
Yeah, of course.
Alright, so Eddie is a little low on bombs and arrows here, but you're going to be coming up in this refill room here. We'll be probably grabbing both the pots on the right side here to get up to an appropriate amount. You want, optimally, you want 2 bombs and I think 21 arrows coming out of Swamp here to be super comfortable for the rest of the run. But 219 is going to be okay. You'll need to pick up some extra arrows, but plenty of those along the way. Alright, so here's the 0 cycle strat. Involves getting an item dash with the hookshot here, which puts Link into a glitch state where he will instantly kill these puffs, allowing him to get this fight over with very quickly. Very nice 0 cycle fight from Eddie there. Saving like 8 seconds or so over the normal strat there.
Yeah, that was very good that he got that. Now Eddie's going into the longest cutscene, about 55 seconds between grabbing the crystal and when Link swords up. David moving through rooms in the back half of Swamp. This room, the waterfall room, is really annoying.
I hate this room so much. It's one of those rooms where there's just not a 100% consistent strat where you're not going to get hit sometimes, as far as I know. Oh, he didn't grab another bomb there. Interesting. Does he do something I'm not aware of?
I don't know.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, you want at least 2 bombs normally coming out of Swamp here, because you're going to want 1 for the Ice Rod Cave, which Eddie is going to be doing his shopping trip here. David is also going for the 0 cycle. Unfortunately, you're seeing just how precise the time that you actually have to hook after you kill one of these puffs is, because if you don't do it at just the right time, you're going to end up dropping your state there, which obviously is going to slow down this fight a little bit, but still gets the 1 cycle, gets the Fire Rod quick kill. Still an overall pretty nice fight for David there. But as I was saying, yeah, Eddie's doing his shopping trip here where he's going to be collecting Ether and Ice Rod, and I would expect David to be doing the same thing. And so when he gets the Ice Rod, he's going to be using 1 bomb there. And then when you get into Mire, which is the next dungeon these guys will be heading to, there is a bombable wall that you need to blow open with your last bomb. So David is going to be probably looking to get a bomb drop from this rock that you're going to see on Eddie's side over here. Right here, that's a 50-50 if you pick up that rock there to have a bomb underneath it. So David's either going to need to pick up that bomb there and get that drop, or kill a slug in Mire, which are guaranteed to drop bombs, in order to have enough for the rest of the run.
Oh no, Eddie taking 2 hearts damage on the overworld. This means he will not be able to do the fastest Meyer 2 strategy.
Uh-oh. So David there going for a somewhat risky strat. When you're calling the bird here, you can go for a hook dash there in order to get super speed so that you actually get picked up by the bird a little bit faster, but you saw right there why it can be risky. You know, if you miss that state or for some reason you just miss the bird for one reason or another, and you gotta menu back and call the bird again, and it's a bad time. So.
Eddie should still be able to get a 1 cycle in this room where all the wizards only appear once, and he does. The main disadvantage to not having beams there is that the Popo cleanup is just generally a little bit slower. But it wasn't too bad there.
Yeah, Meyer 2 is really probably the biggest highlight of Meyer itself. The rest of this dungeon really isn't much going on. I mean, there are a few cool strats here and there, like the spike room. The spike key, most notably, I think, is probably the next most difficult strat that you're going to see. But for the most part, you know, these well-practiced runners aren't really going to be too worried going through Meyer here, because once you drop powder, Meyer is probably one of the first dungeons that you really start practicing a lot to make sure that you are, you know, consistently maintaining your health throughout it, because you want to be very healthy for the fight at the end of the dungeon and also getting the spike key at the end. So let's take a look at David's time here when DMD lights these torches. 106.55 approximately is his torches time. So looking at probably mid 126-ish coming out of Eddie if everything goes well from here on out.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it looks like David did end up getting his bomb. I didn't actually see where he managed to get that, but he will be A-okay in his bomb ratting now here going through Meyer.
Eddie's probably going to be going for a strat here called Spark Gamble, where you're going to see him intentionally dash into his Spark, and you might think, oh, what's up with that? It's actually the fastest way through the room, especially if you get a really good boost from the Spark, which he did not. Unfortunately, he got back boosted.
David tossing the bird for the fans, rolling into Meyer 2 now. He does have sword beam, so he's going to be executing the room. Ooh, unfortunately, his fire rod shot there got blocked, I believe, by the Popo, so it didn't hit that wizard over there. DMD rolling into the spike key room now. Going to be hooking over to the spot and hitting that switch there exactly when his iframes run out to get that chest. Cool strat there. He is very healthy for the rest of this dungeon here, considering he's going to get a heart underneath this pot here as well.
Yeah, 8 hearts is plenty for any top player coming into this back end of the dungeon. The section does have a few tough rooms. This room can be surprisingly difficult. That switch has the smallest hitbox. And it's just really tough to get everything positioned correctly. This room is pretty tough too.
Well, I think, sorry.
I think the spike blocked that cane blast.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was going to mention David there. I think he was in the bomb slug room and ended up slashing a bomb or something like that. And luckily he got hit by the bomb itself and not the slug. The slugs do 4 hearts of damage, whereas their bombs only do 1. So taking 4 hearts there is actually pretty significant, considering you need to take 3 hearts more of damage in that spike key room. But yeah, as we said, Eddie is pretty healthy. He's going to be rolling into the Vidi fight now, where he's going to intentionally be taking damage from the goo surrounding Vitreous here in order to get some iframes. Accidentally slashes one of the eyeballs there. Is going to be kind of playing it a little improv-y here. He does not want to get hit by any of these eyeballs because they do 4 hearts of damage, so he will die instantaneously. Oh, Eddie, please be careful.
Oh, man.
Lightning does 2 hearts, I believe, so he would be
Yeah.
able to survive at least a lightning. Tries a fire rod shot. Unfortunately, the eyeballs are immune to that. He's going to start using some of his arrows now to clean up the fight here. Whew, man. Okay, I think he's going to be safe from here on out, but that is not the kind of vitreous fight you want to see there. That strat can be a little tricky if you end up accidentally slashing one of those eyeballs or poking one of them or something like that. It can really just throw off the entire fight, as you saw there.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. David gonna be heading downstairs. See if this room goes well for him. It does. Yeah, that switch has a small hitbox, and if you touch the block at all, it's a problem. Just like immediately. Due to the physics of cane blocks.
Speaking of cane block struggles.
Yeah. We'll see if DMD goes for what we call the Waffle House drive-through. There's, I guess, this rock garden on Death Mountain that we refer to the Waffle House for meme reasons. But you can maintain spin speed all the way through it. I think he's gonna go for it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
Got bad RNG, though, unfortunately. Yo, sick bomb. Doesn't have to pick anything up in T-Rock now. But David's going to be rolling into the Vidi fight now, so let's see how he does with his execution. He's going to be trying to get this Vidi fight to where Vitreous doesn't actually shoot any lightning at all, which is what we refer to as the zero cycle. Unfortunately, he thought he had more damage on that last eyeball than he did. Thought the fight was going to be proceeding to the next phase, but he actually needed another arrow. Speaking of needing another arrow and menuing early, yeah, it's something that tends to happen a lot because it's so easy to misfire your arrows or miscount them or something like that to where 8 don't actually go into Vitreous. So got a 1 cycle lightning, a little bit better fight than DMD. So maybe making up just a little bit of time there.
Yeah, it's a good thing he realized some people will do that early menu without having shot the 8th arrow, and they'll come out of it and like, oh, I need to shoot him again, and they'll hit Y, and then they've mirrored back to the beginning of the dungeon.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. It's a good. He was staying aware there that he's on the mirror. Don't go anywhere near Y. So yeah.
Alright, so both these guys back in the same segment now. Eddie is in the dungeon itself, is going to be coming up on a pretty important room here, the first roller room of T-Rock. Going to be intentionally taking damage from that top roller there on the way back down to this room. He gets hit here to take iframes and dash down through that roller there in order to do that room very quickly. Nicely executed there. Does intentionally take damage, but the prize pack manipulation we were referring to earlier is going to come into play here because these Pokies are actually in the same prize pack as those guards that we saw in Aga Tower earlier. And so since he killed those guards with a dash, and he killed this Poki with anything other than a dash, he does get the drop there, which is a fairy, which is very, very handy for Turtle Rock here.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice not just for safety reasons either. Having beams actually speeds up the dungeon, or you can do faster strats in a few rooms, so it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, for sure. So Eddie actually has 12 arrows here, which means he's going to be short for the Ice Armos fight here in G Tower, which means he's going to need to pick up an extra pot. I'm sure he's aware of that, and it's not really a huge time loss or anything, but just a small thing to note that he is going to need to do in G Tower.
Yeah, definitely. And there's one of the faster strats I was talking about there with beams. The way Eddie did that last room is about 10 frames faster than you can do it without beams.
Coming up on double pokies here. Going to get one of 16 RNGs. Gets the most optimal RNG. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
So how much time does the optimal save over the absolute worst RNG you can get in that room?
I think it says like 4 seconds. Something like that, 4.5.
Yeah, which is just ridiculous for one room in the game, you know?
Yeah. Actually, I really like that room because, you know, if it was just one way every time, even if it lost that time loss component of it, which is kind of annoying, but if it was just that one way, it would be kind of boring.
Yeah.
The fact that there are 16 ways, you know, there's so much more complexities to it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely plenty of RNG throughout this run. Outside of Aghanim, you know, every single enemy, all the bosses, stuff like cannonballs, things like that. Yo, nice laser skip coming from Eddie here. Gets the dash out as well. Unfortunately gets knocked off by the beetle, but that strat is insanely difficult. Eddie pulled off the most difficult part of it really well.
Yeah. That was almost like a reverse 1.0 where the beetle was falling and hit Link while it was falling.
Yeah. You don't often see that.
That was pretty funny.
Alright, Eddie rolling into Trinex here, going for the backdoor strats. Freezes ahead, slashes it a few times, freezes it again, slashes again. Uses the fire rod. Gonna finish off this head over here. Easy peasy. Now he's going to be trying to spin Trinex in such a way here that he gets 2 hits off of the spin, and then he can finish off the fight with just 1 more slash after buffering to the hook shot. Nicely done. Good Trinex fight there for Eddie. Double pokies here for David.
David actually got the second best RNG,
wow.
So good RNG there from everyone. That one's only like a second slower than the one Eddie got.
Yeah, there's another example of a room where beams can save you a little bit of time in this crystal roller key room here.
Eddie's going to be starting up Ganon's Tower, objectively the best dungeon in the game.
Yep, no question about it.
Wow, David getting the fast laser skip as well.
Yeah, it's difficult to actually overstate just how difficult that is. I think when you do that initial dash down, there's only 1 or 2 frames you can actually stop on, I believe, to get that dash, or maybe it's just 1 frame.
There's a setup you can do at the start of the room if you hit down and A on the same frame.
Oh, right.
If you get that setup, it's a 2-frame window.
Gotcha. Ooh, so David dashing into the toe of Trinex here. Looks like he was trying to set up for that backdoor strat. Unfortunately, just a little bit too far right. Ran into that toe there, but very heads-up play there to just bail out and go for the front door strat. You definitely don't, after that point, you don't want to try to get behind Trinex because after that, the head is already going to be out and in a bad spot for you to actually get to it. But cleaning up the Trinex fight here on David's side. Meanwhile, DMD is proceeding through some of the coolest rooms in the game with the coolest strats, so definitely watch Eddie as he goes through G Tower here and just enjoy the execution.
He's still going to need arrows somewhere. I'm betting he's just going to get the extra pot in the room above Ice Armos.
That would be my guess as well, yeah. He probably doesn't want to roll into another warp here, which is going to be way slower. This warp here that he's going to try to bonk over does have some... Oh, no, he just doesn't get the bonk, so he's just going to go in there anyway. Doesn't grab the arrows, though, interestingly enough. So is still going to be grabbing those arrows in the Ice Armos, above the Ice Armos room, hopefully, if he recognizes... Oh no, he picked up the pot, so he can't bonk over now.
Yeah, he's
going to try to hover.
Oh, and accidentally falls.
Right. So I think he's just going to reset the room now. So yeah, he's going to respawn the pots now. He does need at least one of those pots there so he can bonk over. David checking the map. I definitely have done that while item dashing before. Yeah, hopefully Eddie grabs these other arrows at the top here. Oh, he's going to grab the chest. Okay.
Arrows. Yeah, wow.
So he'll have, if he does this fight correctly, he'll have 9 arrows after Ice Armos, which he could potentially skip the 10 chest that is right behind the fight here next to the big key. Oh, shoots an extra arrow, so maybe he'll grab the chest, I'm not sure. Maybe just to be safe, he will. Yeah, nice chest turn. For the fans.
Going upstairs in Ganon's Tower, which is the true test for any speedrunner of this game. Right away hits you with 2 of the hardest rooms, with the Mimics rooms. He's going to be moving into right here. Let's see how clean the execution is. That was really great first room.
Oh
excellent
my
second room. Yeah.
So good. Yeah, he almost hit the spike on the way out. And, oh, going for the bow dash! Nice, dude.
Wow.
Eddie putting on a show here for the fans. Everybody, please give both of our runners a follow here if you enjoy what you are seeing. These guys are putting on a fantastic show here in G Tower for you guys to watch. I mean, still a relatively close race. I mean, for the the fact that they're both still in G Tower at this point.
Yeah.
It's definitely cool to see. Anything can happen still from here on out.
Just excellent gauntlet.
Oh, David going through the same warp that Eddie went through, opting to grab the arrows, so he's going to be pretty set on those. Yep, Eddie finishing up the gauntlet now. Nice one cycle from Eddie.
Wow. Other than the invisible bridge room, this has just been an excellent Ganon's Tower.
Oh no, David actually gets that anti-fairy in a bad position to where shoutouts to Japanese 1.0 still takes damage and gets his magic drained as he's falling down that hole. It's actually going to be somewhat significant later on for his magic count. Hopefully he'll pick up a small magic pot once he gets up to the second floor of G Tower here.
The game,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the game gives you nice iframes for your hearts, but has no such guarantee on your magic. So that anti-fairy just drains your magic constantly. And there's some backups you can get in this room, but I don't know if he's going to be aware of them. Maybe not.
Looking like not, but it's definitely not the end of the world. It's going to be most important for that first torches room that you saw Eddie going through there. He'll be able to pick up some drops along the way if he absolutely needs to. So. Oh no.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Definitely been there. This bomb can be a little finicky to throw. If you move down too far before you throw the bomb, it can stick on the wall. Sometimes the bomb can just miss for seemingly no reason at all. So sometimes you have to go back into that room to get another one. Alright, David going through the gauntlet now. These rooms are just a ball of RNG and almost every single sprite in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice RNG in that particular gauntlet rune, G4. Using the arrow there, that's kind of interesting. You don't normally see that strat anymore.
Yeah.
But actually, I think I understand why he did it. It may have actually been because of his low magic count.
Yeah, I was just about to say he might have been doing it, keeping his magic in mind.
Triple on DMD's side on Aga2 here. Oh, he gets the 2 cycle! Let's go! That was a really solid G tower for Eddie. Apart from that one little mishap with the invisible floor, holy crap, that was a G tower. Yeah, you see David picked up a little more magic there, so he's going to be really well set for his magic count. So after that little scare from the anti-fairy, he's going to be just fine going through the rest of the tower here. But Eddie rolling into the Ganon fight now. Just a really cool fight to watch. The casual fight, you know, with gold sword, so silver arrows isn't that interesting, but I feel like when you have tempered sword, it actually becomes really, really fun to execute. Especially, I mean, just once you get to phase 4 too. Eddie showing off some inside the circle strats here, bonking to get inside of the firebat circle here, dashing to hit Ganon, and finishing off the first 2 phases of the Ganon fight here. Once he gets past this 3rd phase here, he's going to be trying to light this bottom left torch here before the right one goes out, which we refer to as the torch glitch. What this allows him to do is only have to relight the bottom left torch because the right one will permanently stay lit for the rest of the fight. So you see it being executed right. No!
Oh, no!
He was just a little bit too late. But this fight, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you miss it. Oh, David going for the hover past Moldum 2 there, unfortunately falling, but showing off a little swag here at the end of the run. But yeah, if you do miss the torch glitch, it's certainly not the end of the world. You can still get at least, you know, 2 hits in per cycle, hopefully. And I think Eddie knows how to handle that pretty well. David getting the hover past Moldorm too. It's always cool to see at the end of a race, you know, when I don't know if he's keeping an eye on the restream or what, but you know, maybe he just had decided before the race to go for that, but still going for it. Very commendable. Always cool to see a hover coming out.
Yeah, for sure. DMD does need to be pretty careful here. The firebat cannon shooting out will one-hit him, so hit 2 hearts. Oh.
Yeah, he's going for some really interesting positions on Ganon here. Yeah, it is possible to get 3 hits in a cycle if you do your torch lighting exactly correctly. It could be pretty tough, so looks like he's just opting to go for 2. It sounded like a pretty solid Aga2 fight out of David. Didn't sound like it took a long time at all. I didn't actually see how many cycles it was. But I feel like Eddie's got to be getting to the end of this fight, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be soon. All right, there it is. There's the last hit right there. GG to Eddie. Way to go, DMD. Congrats on the win, dude. Nice run.
Looks like he'll be finishing with approximately a 128.51, 52, somewhere in there. Maybe I can look in the race channel. 128.52 was his official race time. David getting hit by one of the firebats.
Oh
no!
That was really, really close. The hitboxes on those firebats can be very deceptive, and sometimes it looks like they're absolutely not going to hit you. But they do, because it's a video game. But yeah, hopefully we'll get Eddie in for an interview. We'll wait for David to finish up his run here, though.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah, this is something that happens to almost every runner at one time or another. The Ganon loop. All right, so everyone, let's cheer on David as he finishes up his run here. Definitely be very tough mentally to deal with Ganon deaths in your runs, and to stick it out and finish it is very commendable. So let's cheer David on. Get some go David goes in the chat as he finishes up the Ganon fight here.
Torch glitch. He should be fine. I believe in him. This last phase for experienced runners rarely goes very poorly. And he's pretty experienced with his sub 130.
Yeah, very well handled phase 4 here. You're seeing that he's kind of baiting out. Ooh, nice. He's baiting out the fire bat there so that he doesn't get hit by it, and then moving into Ganon such that he gets a spin off there. Finishing up the Ganon fight. Going to be rolling in. Let's check, see what his official SRTV time is. Looks like a 1:31.54. GG to David. Way to finish it out,
GG.
dude.
Try to get both of them in here to talk about the run if we can.
Yeah, that was a really fun race to watch, though. We got to see a variety of strats. And whenever you get to see a 1:24 runner, period, run the game, it's always a pleasure, as we saw with that G Tower. But David also demonstrating that he is a very, very strong runner in his own right, and recovering from all those mistakes and still finishing with a 1:31. Still a really nice time for a race. So GG to both of our racers. So get him in here for an interview. Yo and David, GG, congrats on the run, dude.
Thank you.
Hey man, way to stick it out with that Ganon fight and some of the other mistakes that happen throughout the run. I know it can be very tough to soldier on sometimes, but you stuck it out and finished it. So GG, congrats.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah, man, that was a really fun race to watch. I mean, the fact that you guys, have kind of been communicating a little bit, in each other's chats and watching each other's streams. I kind of said it in the race earlier on, but it's been cool to kind of watch that socializing that's been taking place between you guys, and we kind of saw it come into play a little bit in Eastern. So, what exactly did you guys agree to for Eastern there?
So one late night, or actually like 2 nights ago, Eddie comes into my chat and he shows me this strat for Eastern for the first Igor, and I'm like, that's a really cool strat. And so we both decided to do it for our race.
Yeah, that was really cool. Fortunately, didn't go so well for you as it ended up going for Eddie. But
yeah,
props to you guys for both agreeing to go for that no matter what. Obviously, it's a very tough strat, and if you get the bad RNG, there's almost nothing you can do about it. So, but cool that both of you guys went for that, and also the reversed mirrored cold stare fight as well. Both of you guys did.
I actually just learned poke dash like last night, so that was a little scary trying to do it, but I tried.
I thought it was pretty well executed. Like, you got the first 2 pokes in really well, and then Josh got a little scared, I think, for your last 2 slashes there.
Oh yeah, that was frightening. I'm glad
I have nightmares
you made
from
it
cold
out.
stare.
We're seeing if Eddie is interested in an interview or not. Would be really cool to talk to him about his run as well, but totally understand if he doesn't want to. Looks like he just rolled in. Eddie, DMD, GG, congrats, my dude. Nice run, man.
Thanks.
Dude, that was a really fun race to watch. And your G Tower, man, apart from that invisible four-room, holy crap, that was a heck of a G Tower.
Yeah.
How'd you?
Though.
Dude, that 2-cycle was hot.
Got a 2-cycle? What?
Did you guys gifted with green yesterday?
I didn't. I messed up.
Oh damn.
I damage boosted wrong, and then I got hit by the first Igor. And then I had to like grab the other pot and stuff.
Damn, I messed a lot of stuff up. Still having some, I don't know, D-pad issues. I just switched my controller, so yeah, still have to get used to it. For an example, in Ice Palace, I threw the bomb to the left. That was because of the D-pad. The D-pad is really stiff. I'm not used to it.
Yeah. So you ran out of bombs there and had to mirror out to the beginning of Ice Palace, unfortunately. So we have some pretty good heads-up play there in Ice Palace to realize that you were also low on magic in the beginning of that and picking up those magic drops throughout.
Yeah.
I think at one point I was down a bomb. At one point I was down a bomb and I forgot to grab one in Swamp. And I got lucky that there was a bomb in the Ice Rod cave. Yeah,
that was definitely one of the things that we mentioned. We weren't sure if you just like forgot or...
I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely can happen from time to time if you're not keeping an eye on that. So how did you guys feel, I guess, overall about your runs? Was there like a major highlight for you, David, that you wanted to point out that we haven't discussed yet or anything?
I felt, honestly, I didn't think the run was too bad or anything. I think the entire run for me was just a nice average run. I don't really think there's any point that stuck out for me.
Yeah, I mean, to finish with the time that you did with all the stuff that you had to deal with and 2 Ganon deaths and everything, that's still a really commendable time. So, GG to you. I believe that brings you to 2-1 for your group stage, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So it looks like you'll be moving on, and then Eddie, that makes a solid 3-0 performance for you in your group stage. So you will also be moving on to the brackets. So, congrats to both of you guys for that.
Hey, thank you.
So yeah, this was kind of mostly, I guess, an exhibition race, and you guys really did put on a heck of a show. So we thank you both for that. Everyone in chat, please give our runners here a follow if you liked what you saw and enjoyed the race. I know I did personally, so I hope you guys go back and watch that and get to enjoy a little bit of the race.
For sure. Thank you guys for commentating.
Yeah, thanks for the commentating.
No problem.
All right, I think that is going to do it for us for right now, though. We do have another race coming up immediately right after this one, I'm pretty sure, right here on Speed Gaming 2. That is going to be Mike the Viewer, who is a recent 125 runner, versus Maltzy, who's also a very strong runner as well. Coming up right here on Speed Gaming 2. Later tonight, we do have some more NMG races. And then, of course, we have plenty of other stuff going across the Speed Gaming networks. We have Dark Souls, there's Super Metroid also going on. Plenty of stuff to watch. So if you guys like Speed Gaming, please give them a follow. And major thanks to them for helping us put this on. So it looks like we will be transitioning over to our next race here very soon, so please stick around. Thank you all for watching. I have been Greenham, and I was joined today on commentary by Josh RTA.
Later all. Enjoy the following action.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys.